Minnesota beats Maryland 65-62 in this one. This was a pretty exciting one from earlier today. Obviously, Minnesota, like we were kind of talking about pre-show, they're just kind of getting production from everybody. It's making things happen. That's kind of the opposite of Maryland right now. Maryland is just kind of the Juju and the Jameer Young show a little bit. Juju got in foul trouble in this game early in the second half, so that was difficult for Maryland to try and overcome. Russ, what were your thoughts on this one? And then when Russ gets done, Kent, you just go ahead and start right away because I got to make this Michigan State graphic since the game just ended.
We'll do that.
There we go. It's our show, Kent. Let's go, man.
Let's take over. We're taking over now.
But Minnesota's record is 12-3 right now, quietly 12-3, and I think that the question should be asked is: are they a tournament team? Because I think they very well could be. And they're having the season that maybe Maryland thought that they were going to have, being 12-3. Maryland's across the court looking at 9-6 and looking at needing to pretty much win, probably all but 2 or 3 of the games the rest of the season just to get to like 20 wins and try to have some kind of resume to make the tournament at this point. So I put Ben Johnson, I think, at 7 on my coach ranks that we did pretty recently, and it's making me look like a pretty smart guy. I think Minnesota, like you said, they spread the ball around. They are not a team that is going to get shut down by you shutting down one of their top scorers because they've got so many other guys that they're willing to spread the ball around with that they're going to get it done. And I think that they could be a tournament team at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I started believing in them a little bit, like a tiny bit, as much as you can in Minnesota during the Missouri game. And that's a game that they actually dropped. I talked about this with JR last time I was on. They were up big in the second half, and then Missouri just comes back on a tear the last 7 minutes of that game and ends up beating them by 2. That's a win that they could have really used to put on their resume, though, because you look at the rest of their non-conference schedule, especially, and it is a lot of Arkansas Pine Bluff, if you get what I'm saying. Just not a lot of big wins so far for them. Even though they have all the number of wins that you're looking for, they might be able to get to 20. Are they going to have enough wins in the non-conference to put them over the edge if they are on the bubble? So they're going to really have to do some more damage in the conference. And I'll be honest, I'll be really frank. The teams that they've beat so far are, to me, bottom tier teams. They beat Michigan, they beat Maryland, and I guess they did beat Nebraska. That's a big win. That's a big win for them. So as far as the resume building, I think that's their best win right now. But like I said, really could have used that Missouri win. I was talking to JR before we started the show. I did not like Ben Johnson last year. I didn't know what he was doing. I thought that it just looked like he was kind of lost at times. I think on 2 occasions in March last year, Minnesota getting 10-second violations when they weren't getting pressed, like just walking the ball up the court. So, and that's hard to do at any level, but they did it a couple of times. So, yeah, I didn't know what to think about him last year, but I've kind of had to switch and do a 180 on him. I think he's doing a great job this year so far. I think he's doing a great job so far. I will say, I think this is a roster that's built to go on a losing streak, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens soon. I'm not all the way in on Minnesota, but they do have my attention. I'll say that.
Well, and I think what's positive for Minnesota is they have a favorable Big Conference schedule, Big Ten Conference schedule. They face Purdue once, and they face, Illinois once. And do they face Wisconsin twice? I think they only face
Michigan State once. Oh, no, that's twice. I just saw the second one.
Wisconsin is just once as well, yeah.
So when you have Purdue once, Wisconsin once, Illinois once, that's my biggest thing for them is I know it's kind of a weak schedule, and I hate to say that because that's not Minnesota's fault. And it feels like I'm dogging them. I'm not trying to dog them for that. I'm just trying to look at the world of college basketball and what the tournament people look at. And so if they don't pull off one of those, that can be hindering to them. But honestly, I think if they pull off either the Wisconsin, and that one's at home, or the Illinois game, you're looking at a tournament team if they win enough games. And honestly, I think they can do it. I think they can win at Indiana in their next game. I think they can beat Iowa. I think they can win at home against Michigan State. I think they can take care of Penn State. I mean, there are teams in this conference that they can take care of, and they won enough and they did enough, and their non-con, at least their win total, got high enough to where they can be able to be a tournament team this year. Now, do I think they're going to be past a bubble team? No, I think if they get in, they're probably a bubble team. But at the end of the day, I don't think Minnesota is the, doorstep of this conference, whatever, doormat. That's what I'm looking for. I don't think they're the doormat of this conference as they kind of were last year. I mean, last year, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, they only had 2 conference wins last year. They have 3 now. I mean, in your 4th Big Ten game, you have 3. I know it's not the strongest Big Ten competition out there, but that's awfully darn impressive. And I think that Minnesota fans have a lot to be excited about with the future of this team, because if they do what they are supposed to do in this conference, they could make it to the tournament. Now, on the other side of this, Maryland fans aren't going to like me, or maybe you will like me. I don't know, because maybe you do want your coach fired. But Kevin Willard, what in the world is going on? I talked about how Matt Painter did a good job coaching. I talked about how Brad Underwood did a good job coaching. Holy crap. Kevin Willard does not have any idea what to do with this team. I forget what's the name of the guy. Oh, I don't even know if I want to say his name. I don't want to throw him out there, but they put a guy out there like 30 seconds left in this game to shoot a 3-pointer. Why? He didn't have any points. He didn't make a 3-pointer. He shoots 33% on the year. And you're going to trust this dude to, again, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to throw him out there and throw him under the bus. But Kevin Willard, what are you doing? Why are you not putting the ball in Jameer Young's hands? And the next possession, Jameer Young comes down, shoots a pull-up 3-pointer and drains it. I mean, I don't have any words for what Kevin Willard is trying to do. I don't think he knows how to run the offense with this team. I don't think he knows how to do anything if Juju or Jameer Young is not running it through them. And at the end of the day, what is Jordan Geronimo doing starting? I mean, I know he only played 16 minutes in this game, but what is going on there? I don't like anything that Kevin Willard is doing with this team. And, I'll let Tricky take care of the firing. I know Tricky was all about firing him in our last podcast. And, Maryland fans probably want to do that. But Kevin Willard just seems lost to me right now. And this is not a healthy place for this Maryland program. Russ, I'll let you take your shots in because I know you want to. What's going on with Maryland?
I mean, you said it all. It's a complete mismanagement of the talent that they have on their roster. It's another team that I'll give some flowers like IU, like Indiana, that they have talent. He just doesn't, like you said, doesn't look like he knows what he's doing or what to do with them. And especially when they're hitting a slump, it's like he doesn't know how to react. He doesn't know what adjustments to make. And, it's one more win on the schedule for a lot of Big Ten teams. So they can just say thank you. Hopefully Kevin Willard will stick around the rest of the season for some of these other teams like Illinois is waiting on Juwan Howard and Michigan. The other teams are just going to be like, hey, keep that job, Kevin Willard, till the end of the season so we can get those dubs. But
who can't you tell me who should be fired first? Juwan Howard or Kevin Willard? Okay. I was wondering.
Easy. But I will say last year at the Big Ten tournament, I was able to, because there wasn't a ton of people at the Thursday game. So I actually watched this game on Thursday night last year, right behind the Maryland bench. And I don't want to put anything on the internet that Kevin Willard can come back and, hurt me about. But I'll say this. After sitting right behind the scorers table closer to the Maryland bench, I walked away from that game, and it made it really hard to cheer for Maryland going forward after seeing him up close and personal. I'll leave it at that.
Wow.
Well, he's got that Bobby Knight personality without the wins to back it up.
You said it.
I guess I did bring him up earlier in the show, so
that's true.
To get a shot in at some point.
That's true. Also, that was one of the games where Minnesota had the 10-second call. By the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I had the graphic already, and then I just found out they changed one thing with Boo Boo's points, so I have to change that really fast. Russ, talk about Maryland for a couple more minutes while I do this.
Yeah, keep talking about Maryland.
Don't make me do that.
I can answer your question more fully. I can answer your question more fully if you want me to.
Go ahead, sure.
Okay, I was just gonna say, because you asked me about Juwan Howard or Kevin Willard. I mean, Juwan Howard is. I don't know if we're still going to talk about the Michigan game or whatever, but He's got to go immediately. He should not be fired tonight. He health issues or whatever aside, like that team is even worse than Maryland, so discombobulated. And I was just texting with my buddies about this today. I think it's just like what Russ was saying about Maryland and Indiana. I think that Michigan has highly recruited guys. I think they have very talented guys. They don't have a clue what they're doing. And I'm looking at, Big Ten Network right now, and poor John Beilein is on the screen, and he has to talk about this Michigan team sometimes. And you talk about a difference in culture between a guy that could develop talent and a guy that simply just brings in recruits and says, hey, they're going to get the job done. It's just a complete 180. He's got to go. He's got to go. And obviously John Beilein's not doing anything. Bring him back.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll agree too on that question about Juwan Howard or Kevin Willard. It's definitely Juwan Howard. He definitely has to be the first to go. I've talked about before, he has the NBA mindset that, the NBA is full of talented guys and they just a lot of times kind of throw them out there and play iso ball. The guys that get paid the most money, they get the most shot attempts. That's kind of how you run the team sometimes. And there's always somebody that's coming up behind them that's ready to step in. You don't even really have to recruit. There's always somebody on the bench ready to go. And that style does not work in the college game at all.
Thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.